Good morning. Good morning. Periscope, good morning. YouTube, we are live. Good morning. And you are checking out Talking Money in the Morning with your main man, H. Cortez, also known as a financial health mentor to the working class, where I do my very best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to hardworking men and women all over this great nation of ours. So, let me first start out by saying welcome to the show this morning, guys. I am super excited to be sharing with you once again. So glad that you decided to stop by and hang out with your main man so that I can uplift and motivate you. This show is all about and all for those who are ready to rise and grind this morning, those who are going to get up, get out, and get something, as Outkast used to say back in the day. This show is not for the person who has a problem with money, the person who thinks that wealthy people are snobs and things of that nature. Because when you have those kinds of thoughts and you have those ill feelings towards money, then you will repel it away from you instead of attracting it to you. I know, like most of you guys know who are checking out the show, that money is nothing more than a tool. And it is the person who wields that tool that determines whether or not that tool is going to be used for good or evil. So today's show, we're going to be talking about the 5 critical steps to building wealth. Now, you guys know that I teach practical strategies to help you build wealth, but there's some things that you have to do on a mental level to get yourself prepared for building wealth. So we're going to talk about those 5 critical things. Now, these are more mental and less strategic. If you want strategic, then you'll want to come check out tomorrow's show, where we'll be talking about income shifting, how you can strategically shift your income from the highest tax bracket to the lowest tax bracket, and we will show you how to do that. Now, guys, this is only the 2nd episode, so right now I'm not abreast at taking questions, but you can use Periscope. If you're checking me out on Periscope, you can type in the chat. Sometimes I will see that stuff. If you're watching on Facebook, then you can leave a comment in the Facebook thread, and I can check you out on Facebook. But you have to be in my Facebook fan page, Financial Health Mentor. So if you're on Facebook, go to not my personal profile, but jump over to Financial Health Mentor, because that's the stream, the comment stream that I'm watching. So if you got questions or comments, then you can leave them in that comment stream, because you are able to click on the button and watch this live via Facebook. So again, I am H. Cortez. I'm a wealth strategist, author, entrepreneur, father, husband, brother, son, cousin, uncle, all of those good things. And I have the gift of exaltation. I love to exalt people. I love to lift people up. And it just so happens that I am an entrepreneur, and I love doing it by way of financial empowerment, because I believe that most of your challenges you can overcome if you had your money right. Unfortunately, we are in America here, and we are in a capitalistic society. And being in a capitalistic society, you have to understand the rules of money, point blank, period. If you don't, a capitalistic society like this will eat you up and spit you out and not think twice. So again, if you're on Periscope, then do me a huge favor, hit the little man down in the corner and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, so that you can get notifications every morning before we go live. If you're on Facebook, then make sure that you like the page, and you can get notifications, or shoot me a friend request to Cortez Springer profile. And that way I always syndicate this show on my fan page, as well as on my personal profile page. So, and also, if you're on YouTube, on Periscope, then why don't you go ahead and tweet this out, share it with your followers, let them know that we're live, and we're talking about the 5 critical steps to building wealth. These are some practical things, but they are very necessary in shifting your mindset so that you can get your mind right. And ultimately, once you get your mind right, your thought process right, you'll start to understand how to get your money right. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it, guys. Step number 1, critical step number one to building wealth is you first have to decide to be wealthy. Yes, change happens in an instant. It happens the moment that you make a decision and you are solid with that decision. Now, the manifestation of the benefits of that change don't always happen instantly, but change is always instant. I want you to remember that. Write that down if you're taking notes. Change is always instant. Sometimes it's the manifestation of the benefits or the result of that change, which is not so instant. And that's sometimes what causes people to give up and think that nothing has changed or nothing has happened. But I'm here to tell you that if you decide to be wealthy, then that is the first step, because then you're going to start doing all of the other things that you need to make that decision ring true. All right, step number one, if you're going to be wealthy, the first thing you have to do is decide. Make a decision that, yes, I am going to be wealthy. No, there is not a problem with money. No, I can have or amass as much money as I want, and I don't have to feel guilty about that or have some sort of complex. You can literally have all that you want starting with a decision. So if you're on Periscope, then do me a huge favor. Share this, tweet this out. Don't forget to hit the little man to subscribe to the channel. That way you can get all the notifications. We come to you live every morning, 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. We're talking money in the morning. I'm your man, H. Cortez, and we're talking about the 5 critical steps that it's going to take for you to build wealth. Step number one is make a decision. You have to decide to be wealthy. Most people who have amassed any wealth that was not handed down to them made a strong decision to become wealthy. Then they back that decision with consistent action. So step number one, you have to decide to be wealthy. All right. Now, let's go with step number two. Once you've made that decision to be wealthy, all right, step number two, you have to actually define what wealth means to you, right? How can you hit a target if you haven't clearly defined what that target is? So wealthy means is one of those words that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, right? You have to define what wealthy means to you. Now, I'll give you my definition, and I don't want you to adopt it on or because of me, but if it makes sense to you, then sure, you can adopt it, but you have to define what that means to you. All right, wealthy means to me, because I understand that income is measured in time, is measured in dollars. Wealth, on the other hand, is measured in time. So what I mean by that, you can declare yourself wealthy by my definition the moment that your non-wage income exceeds your expenses. In my book, you're wealthy. I'm gonna say it again. You're wealthy in my book by my definition the moment your non-wage income exceeds your expenses. So if it costs you $3,000 a month to live your lifestyle and you're comfortable in that lifestyle, then in order for you to be wealthy, if your non-wage income is $3,005 per month, you're wealthy, right? Because what does that mean? Non-wage income simply means the income that is coming in from sources other than your labor. So whether I roll over in bed in the morning or roll out of the bed in the morning, it doesn't make a difference. My expenses are going to be met because of my non-wage income. So $3,005 per month, and you got $3,000 worth of expenses. That, my friend, makes you wealthy because you can continue to live month over month over month over month, whether you do any physical labor at all. And then if you're smart, you take that extra $5 a month and you continue to pour that into an investment that's going to increase that non-wage income. So that is my simple definition of wealth. Now, you may not agree. That's why critical step number two is all about you defining what wealth means to you. All right, so we got the first 2 steps in the book. I'm gonna take a sip of water really quickly, and then we're gonna recap and then move on. All right. So quickly, let's recap. Step number one, you have to first decide to be wealthy. Guys, I know this stuff seems rudimentary, very simple, but trust me, my life didn't change financially until I made a decision that I was going to be wealthy. And I'm not talking to just $5 over my monthly expenses wealthy. I'm talking about billionaire wealthy, right? Yes, if you haven't never seen a future billionaire, I want you to take a good look because you're looking at one right now. I'm on a course to be a billionaire in a short period of time. So I just want to put that out there on the record. So when it happens, you'll know that what I'm talking and teaching isn't something that I don't believe in. Guys, you have to decide, make a decision that you're going to be wealthy and that you don't have a problem with money and that it's okay for you to be rich and be wealthy. And because you deserve to be rich and be wealthy, because you want your hard work to yield fruit and you want to live comfortably off those fruit. Step number two is you have to define what wealth means to you. That's going to be you creating a picture target of what you're trying to hit. So if you use my example, then you want your non-wage income to exceed your expenses. Now, for some of you guys, you don't have a clue of how to generate non-wage income. Well, if you made a decision to be wealthy and you know you need non-wage income, that decision is going to spur you to find out what it means to create non-wage income and how to go about accomplishing that because of the decision that you made. All right. That brings us on to step number three. All right, you've decided to be wealthy. You've defined what wealth means to you. Step number three, you have to actually draw out a plan, right? You have to draw out a plan in order to hit that goal. Nobody becomes wealthy by accident. Even someone who hits the lottery has to deliberately plan to play those numbers in order to hit that jackpot. Same thing with you. We're not talking about lottery and playing numbers. We're talking about taking deliberate actions, working hard to get to the place that you want to be from your when it comes to your financial goals. So you have to draw out a plan. You have to count the cost. The book I read talks about no man sets to build a tower unless he first counts the cost. Right? You can't set out to build wealthy unless you first count the cost of what it's going to take you to build wealth. Say, for instance, you want $1 million per year. Do you know what that even looks like literally on paper? Do you know that that's roughly $83,000 per month and change? That's like a little over $20,000 per month. Do you understand that that's over $2,739.72 per day, right? I'm looking up at my vision board because I have it on my vision board. It's one of my first goals to becoming a billionaire, as I have to become a millionaire on my way there. So $2,739.72 per day will make you $1 million a year earner. All right. Now, the key again for me is to do that through non-wage income sources, because you can make $1 million a year with your labor, but the minute you take your labor out of the picture, then that money stops coming. But if you do it in a non-wage fashion, then that money continues to grow, continues to roll in over time, and that's exactly what you want. So real quick recap. Step number one, you have to decide to be wealthy. All right. If you don't make that decision, wealth is not going to find you. It's not just going to happen to you. You have to be deliberate. You have to make a decision. Step number two, you have to define what wealth means to you. Create a clear picture of what wealth means to you. Is that a monetary goal? Is that a time freedom goal? Figure that thing out. Create a clear picture so that you can, there's a target for you to aim your efforts and your resources to. And then step number three, you have to draw out a plan. I'm a youth basketball coach. I draw out plays all the time. If my team does not execute those plays, drawing out the plan does not mean anything. So that leads us to step number four. You have to be disciplined to execute your plan. All right. You have to be disciplined to execute your plan. So if you don't execute, then having a plan is actually useless. All right. Again, I draw up plays for my team. I call a timeout, make an adjustment in the game, say, here's what we're going to do for the next 2 or 3 minutes or this next play. And I put them in positions to win. But if they do not go out and execute what I have told them, then me drawing out a plan doesn't work. But guess what? Here's the other thing. If I give them something to execute that they have not been trained to execute, then that lack of execution falls on me. So if you've decided to be wealthy, you've defined what wealth, and you've drawn out a plan, but you haven't done the study and the research that give you the tools that you need to execute that plan, then you're not going to have success in the execution of that plan. Hopefully that makes sense. So you have to be disciplined to execute that plan. And as you're executing, you should be tracking and measuring your success in the execution and the movement towards that goal. Because how many of you guys know that you may have to course correct from time to time? All right, that there's nothing wrong with that. You may have to, in fact, make slight adjustments, slight modifications. All right, but it's hard to make those modifications if you're not tracking those things. So my mentor says all the time, you can't measure what you don't track. So if you're not keeping track of where you are along the process of hitting your goals, you can't measure how close you're getting to your goal, how well you're executing on that plan, how close you're getting to fulfilling your blueprint and hitting that target. So make sure that as you're executing your game plan, you're measuring or you're tracking how far you're coming along, so that if you need to make a course correction, you certainly can without problem. All right. So really quickly, we're moving along. It's 7:16. I'm gonna take another swig of my water. We'll recap, and then we'll get to step number 5, which is probably the most critical of them all. All righty. So really quick, let's recap. Hopefully this is getting making sense for you. Hopefully you're having some aha moments. Hopefully you're starting to see maybe where you've fallen short in hitting your financial goals, because maybe you haven't made a decision to be a wealthy, financially free, not living paycheck to paycheck, have more than enough, have your cup running over. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you have to go ahead and make that decision that, yes, I do deserve wealth. Yes, I do deserve happiness. I do deserve peace of mind. I do deserve to live other than paycheck to paycheck. I do deserve to live a life where I don't have to count on payday loans. I do deserve a life where I don't have to constantly be playing this game with my credit cards. I'm trying to pay it off every month, but soon the day after I pay it off, I have to charge it right back up because I'm not where I want to be financially. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to make a decision to change that. Again, change always happens in an instant. The manifestation of those changes sometimes is what takes a little while for you to see the results of the change, but change always happens in an instant, and it starts with a decision. Step number 2, you have to define what wealth means to you. What does it look like for you to be wealthy? For everybody, wealthy is not a huge a mansion. It's not a foreign a luxury car. That's not what wealth means to everybody. In fact, most 7-figure, 8-figure people do not live that lifestyle. I'll give you a good resource to check out. The book, The Millionaire Next Door. It talks about millionaires shopping at thrift stores. Talk about the fact that 60%, 70% of millionaires have never spent more than $300 on a suit, right? But what does TV and media tell us? That millionaires are living this extravagant lifestyle. That's not the case. All right. That's why it's called tell lie vision, because it's telling lies constantly. So chances are you're living next door to a millionaire. Chances are you're at the grocery store with a millionaire. Chances are you're at the thrift store with a millionaire, because they understand how to place a target in front of every dollar and make every dollar count. Step number 3, you have to draw out a plan, guys. I'm on a course to not get wealthy by chance or get rich quick, but I learned this from another mentor of mine, and she says it all the time, is that we don't get rich quick. We get wealthy deliberately. All right. So have a plan. All right. Shout out to my mentor, Rolanda Jackson, on that. Not get rich quick, but get wealthy deliberately. Have a plan. And then step number 4, you have to be determined and disciplined to execute on that plan, right? Without execution, you never know if that plan's work. So give it everything that you got. And I talk about course correction, but make sure you're giving it enough time before you decide that you need to make a course correction. Again, results from making a decision, instant change, usually happens over time. All right. So you make the decision, you put forth some action, and sometimes you don't receive or see the results of that action for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So give it a little time, but don't bang yourself upside the head for 6 months to a year and don't see any results and not make course corrections along the way. Again, you can't measure what you don't track. So make sure you're tracking everything that you're doing as it relates to your plan. And so you can measure how close you're getting to your goal, or you may be going in the opposite direction of your goal, and you definitely need to make a course correction. Last but not least, in fact, probably the most important step of them all is you have to disassociate yourself from people who do not support you in hitting your dreams or will not help you in hitting your dreams, hitting your financial goals, building the wealth that you want to build. All right. It's that simple. I want y'all to think about that again. Disassociate yourself from the people who are not willing to help you or at least support you in hitting your financial dreams and goals of building wealth. Now, this is heavy, and the reason it's heavy because sometimes that very person that's not trying to help or support you in hitting your dreams and goals is the person that you lay next to every night. Whoa, right? Think about that. Some people are sleeping with the enemy of their wealth building game plan, right? And I'm not saying that you have to go out and divorce your spouse or whatever. I'm just saying that sometimes the people closest to us are not really on board with us. And usually it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, right? Sometimes people don't support you and going from glory to glory because it shines a light on their inadequacies. It shines a light on their willingness to do nothing and to be complacent. That's why sometimes people don't support you in your efforts to take your life to the next level, right? Has nothing to do with you, all right? Sometimes that very person who's not trying to support you or help you in building your wealth is the person that brought you into this world. I know that's heavy, but some of us have parents that don't want to see us go to the next level. And as sad as that is, it's very true. But you still have to press forward. And I'm not saying cut your parents off completely. I'm just saying when you're around your parents, maybe it's pleasantries. Maybe I don't talk about dream building. I don't talk about my goals. I don't talk about my business enterprise. I don't talk about what I'm doing. I don't talk about the trips that I'm taking and all of that stuff. Maybe it's just family stuff. All right. And I just leave it at that. All right. Sometimes the very people that will not help or support you in your dreams or goals are the people that are in your current circle right now. People that you look to for advice, guidance, support, companionship, people that you run with on a day-to-day basis, people you've been running with for 20, 30 years. Sometimes those very people don't want to see you hit your dreams and goals. Again, and it's not about you. Understand that it's not about you. It's usually about them. All right. And their fear of being left behind, not because they can't do the same thing, but it's because they're not willing to even try. Right. So if you're a dreamer, then it behooves you to get around other dreamers. All right. Do not stay in the same circle of influence. If you are the one dreamer around 4 dream stealers, eventually you're going to become a dream snatcher yourself. All right, get around other dreamers. Disassociate yourself from people who are not serious about helping you or at least supporting you and hitting your dreams and goals. If you're around someone who has something negative to say every time you talk about going on a dream vacation, every time you talk about building wealth, leaving a legacy for your family, then it's time for you to redraw your circle. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Some people were meant to be in our lives for a season. Others were meant to be in our lives for a lifetime. It's difficult to understand and know the difference. But what I do is I keep pressing towards my mark and I run hard. And guess what? The people who are meant to run with me will keep up. The people who are not meant to run with me will fall by the wayside. And that's no disrespect to any of them. People just have different dreams, goals, visions, and aspirations. And that's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people just simply grow apart, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, we have to be comfortable going from glory to glory, because we're living outside of our comfort zones. We're stretching, then that stretch ultimately causes us to grow. If the people in our circle are not stretching out, reaching outside of their comfort zone, they're not going to grow. Guys, there's safety and there's security in your comfort zone, but nothing ever grows there. So if you're around people who are constantly stretching and they're constantly encouraging you to stretch, that's a good circle to be in, because you are the average of the 5 closest people to you. All right. So if you want to increase your income, the quickest way to do that is to step into a circle with 4 other people with a higher income, because they're going to stretch, push, motivate. You're going to pick up things that they do that's going to cause you to change different actions and create different habits within you. And that's going to take your income to another level. That's just a tip. All right. So really quickly, we're at the bottom of the hour. I appreciate you for hanging out with me, man. I get so excited. It's so fun to share this information with you on Periscope, via YouTube, also on Facebook. If you're checking us out on Facebook, do me a favor. Don't forget to subscribe to the Periscope feed. Also share it with your friends. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can continue these dialogues every morning, 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Will also be embedded on my blog at hcortezthornton.com. Really trying to get this information out, motivate, encourage, lift you up to know that there's nothing wrong with being wealthy, and any and everybody can attain wealth, financial security, if they have the right strategies and the right game plan. And that game plan starts with your mindset. So let's talk about the 5 critical steps to build wealth really quickly. Decide to be wealthy is step number 1. All right. If you have any issues with money, I want you to understand that there's no problem with money. Some people misquote scriptural texts and things like that as it relates to money, in particular, the Bible. All right. I'm a Christian man, and I study the Word of God as written in the Bible. And I know a lot of people do. But these are the very people that won't do anything towards building wealth because they don't understand the scriptural text as what it means to build wealth. All right. There's over 2,000 scriptures on fiscal responsibility and wealth, money, finance, and how to manage those sorts of things. So understand that the Bible talks extensively about building wealth. Understand the truth of what it says. It says money answers all things. All right, it says God gives you the ability to create wealth. All right, I know that it also says that it'll be easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the gates of heaven. But that is a rich man that puts his money before the Most High. All right, so understand the text and what it really means to you. And sorry, that mean to get off into a spiritual tangent. But most people have some crazy feelings as it relates to money, and that's why they repel money away from them instead of attracting it to them. So decide to be wealthy. There's nothing wrong with that. Define what wealth means to you. All right, get to a place where you know where you're going as it relates to money, and you have a target for what you're trying to accomplish. Step 3, draw out a plan. Be meticulous. Count the cost. All right, know what it's going to take hour by hour, day by day, a month by week, month by month, year by year to get to your plan. So draw out your plan meticulously so that you can get to your financial goal. And don't be afraid to course correct if you have to, if you're not getting the results that you want. Be determined and disciplined to reach or to execute that game plan. Having a plan is nothing without execution. All right. And if you don't execute, you won't hit your goals. You won't know whether or not your plan is working. So give it all you got. If you go a month and you don't see any results, then look at recalibrating, readjusting, and course correcting so that you can get on a plan that's going to hit you to your goal. Step number 5, disassociate yourself from anybody who's not willing to help you or at least support you in hitting your goal. So that brings us to the bottom of the hour exactly. It is 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I am your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the working class. You're checking out Talking Money in the Morning. So glad you decided to stop by, whether you caught it live or you caught the replay. I appreciate you. Leave your comments below if you want other topics on money, finances, but you have to understand you got to get your mind right in order to get your money right. So until I talk to you in the next video, I'm your man, H. Cortez, financial health mentor to the working class. Till next time, get your money up because you can do it. Also, in the morning, we're going to talk about income shifting, how to systematically shift your income from the highest tax bracket to the lowest tax bracket. So be sure to tune in tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the feed on Periscope. That way you will get the notifications when we go live. So until I talk to you in the next video, get your money up because you can do it. Peace.